करले बंदे ये शुभ काम। सुबह सुबह ले शिव का नाम, शिव आएंगे तेरे काम। ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय। खुद को राख लपेटे फिरते, औरों को देते धन धान। देवों के हित विष पीड़ा ले, देवों के हित विष पीड़ा ले। नीलकंठ को कोटि प्रणाम, नीलकंठ को कोटि प्रणाम। ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय। शिव के चरणों में मिलते हैं, सारे तीर्थ चारों धाम। करनी का सुख तेरे हाथों, शिव के हाथों में परिणाम। शिव के हाथों में परिणाम। ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय। शिव के रहते कैसी चिंता, साथ रहे प्रभु आठों याम। शिव को भजले सुख पाओगे, मन को आएगा आराम। मन को आएगा आराम। ओम नमः शिवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय। सुबह सुबह ले शिव का नाम, कर ले बंदे ये शुभ काम। कर ले बंदे ये शुभ काम। ओम नमः शिवाय। 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 ओम हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमु रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om. Yesterday we had seen an introduction to the topic of what is this mind. We started with that all of us have only one pursuit, really speaking. We try out different methods, but the pursuit is only one, and that is the quest for unconditioned happiness. And we saw how our goals keep evolving across different stages of life, but finally it comes to culminate in this quest for self-knowledge. If that quest becomes sincere, we said one of the main reason for that is grace of Bhagavan. There is one text where it is said, Ishvara anugrahena eva pumsam advaita vasana. Only by the grace of the Lord, a human being comes to have this desire for self-knowledge. Just like we have Vishaya Vasana, like that we have Advaita Vasana. They will drive long distances to come and do Shravanam. You keep the class early in the morning, they will wake up and log in for that class. That effort which an individual puts, is it difficult to hear or are you okay? Huh?
Difficult to belong to the front.
Yeah, maybe you can.
Okay, I can hear, but she can't hear.
Okay. Little louder. I know he's trying hard from there.
Yeah, because then it starts.
Right. Huh? Hari Om. Better now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So just like we have other vasanas, we also cultivate Advaita Vasana. But other vasanas come and bind us. Advaita Vasana comes and liberates us. It looks as though it is binding us, because you have to come out of our comfort zone. Early in the morning, you have to come for the class. During the day, we could have done something else. We say, no, you have to log in for this class. I heard your Sanskritam class is during the daytime, right? In the afternoon. 12 to 1. Lunchtime. So the point is, there could be so many things which appear as though it is binding us with regards to Advaita Vasana. But what it is really doing is, it is liberating us. And what is the main knowledge or the teaching of Vedanta? I am not this mind, I am not this body. This world which is appearing is just an appearance in this consciousness. But to directly grasp this knowledge, to appreciate this point directly is very hard. That is why even though I am not this mind, I have to have a beautiful mind to absorb this knowledge. If the vessel has little bit of sourness, milk will get spoiled. One drop is sufficient, that milk will get spoiled. It's a thundering rain. A lot of sound effects are there along with it. Okay. So even a little bit sourness is sufficient to spoil the milk. So this knowledge of Vedanta is Advaita Amrutam. It is a nectar of Advaita, so it demands this feeling. It's strange because I'm not doing anything. If I'm touching the wire or something, then I can understand. Maybe if I keep it here, it is helpful. At the back. No wire is touching. So Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, they are Amrutam. And for us to grasp that Amrutam, we need this mind which has to be pure. Okay, so that is why even if the teaching is I am not the mind, I will have to put forth lot of effort to purify this mind. That was the first point. Another is, even transactionally, if we see, we said mind is our sole companion, it is our only follower. So it is very important that it gives us the right advice. Is it on? So this one is on. Okay. Hari Om, Hari Om. That's okay. Are you able to hear?
Yeah.
Online audience, is it okay? Good. So what were you saying? Mind is our only companion, and we really listen only to our own mind. So it becomes very important that it gives the right advice at the right time. Unlike Shalya, Karna's charioteer, it should not demotivate us, and it should be like Bhagwan Krishna. Whenever we are down, whenever this mind goes in some spiral, it should be our good friend to bring us out from that spiral. Okay, so that was the another point we saw about importance of this mind. Then we said just the nature of this mind, in the same way we see the world. Whatever is the nature of the mind, in the same way we color this world. That is why it is important we color this mind in the right way, beautify it. Then we saw, what did we see? What is the nature of this mind? What is this mind made up of? Whenever you have some very nice food item, if you are paying attention, what will you ask? What is inside it? What is it made up of? So that you know the ingredients, right? You can relate with it in a good way. Even those who have allergies, they're so particular, right? What is inside it? Does it have nuts? First they will ask. Means knowing the material cause of something is very helpful. So we say, what is the material cause of this mind? What is this mind made up of? The first thing was subtle portion of the food that we eat. Jaisa an, vaisa man. So making sure that we pay attention to the purity while cooking food. I had gone to one house, and this family was, very tech savvy family, because husband was into some tech industry. So everything in the house is automated. So in the kitchen, this Amma had, a huge iPad. And I was wondering, I said, Amma, did you put it, just for today, or is it in the wrong place? Because you don't see an iPad in a kitchen. He said, after I heard this, that you should have auspicious thoughts while cooking, I asked my husband to buy an iPad, just so that I can play Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, all other chanting while cooking food. He said, you have put so much of automation in the house, now automate this also for me. I should not have too much problem trying to play it, or some kind of Shravanam can happen. It's very therapeutic. And then what did we see? Nature of the mind is made up of three gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. If all these three gunas are there in the cause, they will show up in the effect also. So don't be surprised if this mind is agitated someday. We should not be surprised if this mind is dull someday. Why? Because it is in the nature, all these three gunas will show their colors. But as far as possible, we should make sure that mind is in Sattva Guna. How to keep mind in Sattva Guna is Shiva Sankalpa Suktam. Okay, lot of different perspectives will be mentioned. Then we saw what is the function of this mind. What are the four functions? Evaluation, then conviction, coming to a decision after evaluating, then recollection, making sure that we remember the right things at the right time, not wrong things at the wrong time. Okay. And the last one was, after doing that, making sure that we don't have lot of abhimana about it. Karta bhava. If mind is impure, it will want to claim anything and everything. So pure mind is that which has good ability to evaluate, it is decisive, it can recollect well. At the same time, it doesn't get bound by it. That is a pure mind. Then last part we saw was, what is the meaning of Shiva Sankalpa Suktam? Just the word. Suktam means that which comes in Vedas, which is very well said. If we can do chanting of it in a very systematic way, it will show its own power. Suktam means that. Stotram is something which is composed by an individual, like Dakshinamurti Stotram, Ganesha Stava, Sharada Stotram. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya has composed all these things. If you ask who composed Shiva Sankalpa Suktam, there is no author for it. It was a revelation to a rishi. To a pure mind, these mantras were revealed. And our job is to chant these mantras, understand the meaning, and try to go back even to a glimpse of the rishi's mind. From where it has come, going back to that same place. Okay, so that is Suktam. Shiva Sankalpa means, may my mind have auspicious thoughts.
Sankalpa means thoughts.
Sankalpa means desire.
Desire.
Like I have a Sankalpa to do this puja. Right? In the beginning of every puja, we do Sankalpa. Means what we say, Bhagwan, this is the place where I am. This is the thing, what I am going to do. For what purpose? Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham. In my Guru's feet, may I have Nirbhara Bhakti. May I have Jnana, Vairagya. Or even some other Sankalpa is there. May there be calmness in the house. This particular thing may it be addressed. May children be healthy. May they be happy. All of that is Sankalpa. But it is Shubha Sankalpa. So may our mind have auspicious Sankalpa. That is one meaning. Another meaning is, may this auspicious Sankalpa be in tune with Bhagwan Sankalpa. Means may Bhagwan Sankalpa become my Sankalpa. That is one level higher. Huh? Bhagwan is looking for people. He says, I have work to do. Are you available? I say, no, Bhagwan. Right now I have some other appointment. Some other project is there. You'll have to wait. If somebody says, I'm available, like Hanumanji, he says, Bhagwan, my purpose of this human birth, my purpose of taking physical body, he says, is to do your work. So whatever you say, that will become my command. That is a purest state of mind where they become the expressions of divine will. And through them, lot of great work happens. Right? Best example is Puja Gurudev. So much had to happen. Totality was looking through a fit, expression, a fit medium where it can express. All great saints for that matter. Swami Vivekananda, you see, all of them have gone through this expression. So this is what we saw yesterday. So now let us enter into the verse. Okay, first mantra. Yajjagrato duramudaiti daivam tadu suptasya tathaivaiti durangamam jyotisham jyotirekam tanme manah shiva sankalpamastu. Together. यज्जाग्रतो दूरमुदैति दैवं तदु सुप्तस्य तथैवैति दूरङ्गमं ज्योतिषां ज्योतिरेकं तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु. This text was taught to us by Puja Guruji when we were studying, and Guruji said, if possible, try to memorize this. Only 5 verses, very beautiful prayer for us to chant every day. And Guruji said, Guruji chants this thrice a day. He said, it's so short that you can just chant it in your regular prayers. Very, very powerful. So now look at the word. What is this mind? It says, Tanme manaha Shiva sankalpamastu. May that mind of mine have auspicious sankalpa. What is this mind? Yad jagrataha duram udaiti daivam. This is my mind which in waking state goes away far from the waker. It goes away far from the waker. Then tadu suptasya tathaivaiti. No matter where it goes, how far it goes, in deep sleep it has to come back to me only. It merges back in Chaitanya. Okay. Now literal meaning, we'll come to every part of this quarter. It comes back, merges into Chaitanya. Durangamam jyotisham jyotirekam. It is very, very adept in going far, but it is light of all lights. What is jyotisham jyoti? Light of all lights. Tamasah param uchyate. One jyotisham is referring to sense organs. Sense organs also illumine. Eyes illumine objects, ears illumine sound, nose illumines smell, tongue illumines taste, and touch illumines, or skin illumines touch. So there are different types of illumining or illumination happening in our sense organs. Mind is the one which is finally receiving the inputs from all these sense organs. Means mind through these sense organs is revealing that object. Minus this mind, sense organs cannot do anything. Sometimes in class, ears are there, words are there, but mind is not there. So you feel in that 1 hour there were blanks. You know how that video they take and in between there are patches, blank spots. Like that, mind goes blank. Sometimes on the table you are searching for something, it is right in front, but because mind is not there, it will not see that thing. So this mind is jyotisham jyoti, light of all lights. That mind of mine may it have auspicious thoughts. Tanme manaha Shiva sankalpam astu. Now come to the first quarter. Yad jagrato duram udaiti. My mind is that which goes far in waking. From the waker, it goes far. Now the question we should ask ourselves is, it is going far, okay. It is going away from me, that is okay. But where is it going? What are the destinations? What are the areas? What are the objects towards which my mind is flying? That will give an indicator of the purity of my vasanas. Vasanas by themselves, we cannot know what it is. Why? Because they are unmanifest. Unmanifest thing, we don't even know what is there in our mind. What is there in our vasanas, we don't even know. Only when that vasana becomes a thought, and that thought goes to different places, we know that this is what my vasana is. Now a small teenage boy is there, or some child is there. Whenever the child comes home, or the teenager comes home, parents ask, right, where were you? Where did you go? Now why do we ask that? Based on the location, we know what is going in his mind. If that child says, I went to some place which is not something one should go, so then parent or the whoever has asked, they will know that something this child is thinking. Now when you hear that, right, now child says, I went to some place which you feel that child should not have gone. Now how will we respond or interact with that child? We cannot just directly scold, right? Why? Because they will cut off, or they will go without telling us, right? So there needs to be a healthy conversation. There needs to be an open dialogue, and when that openness is there, that is when we can guide. Same is with the mind. We cannot train this mind, we cannot tame this mind with force. It's a very delicate instrument. First thing is, we should acknowledge that if this mind is going somewhere where it should not have gone, just by denying this fact or trying to justify this fact that it's okay to go there, we are not going to get anywhere. So the first step is to sit down and just appreciate, where is this mind going? And in that, if it is going to auspicious things, well and good. But if I catch some place, some object where this mind should not be going, that is when I need to work on this mind. First is, don't give any endorsement to those places. Sadhana means that. Means wherever this mind should not go, in those places, first I should come to appreciate that. I should come to appreciate the consequences of this mind going there. And like this, what will happen is, slowly our vasanas, they will get purified. Sometimes we have this question, right? How do you purify vasanas? Or how do you tune your subconscious mind? This is, we cannot tune subconscious mind directly. All we can do is pay attention to manifest mind. Means when these vasanas become thoughts, then we are alert about where this mind is going. And if I make sure that I don't support erroneous places, erroneous objects in my own convictions, and I endorse good things, that is when these vasanas slowly change. It is said the best litmus test, of our mind is dreams. The purity of dream tells us the purity of mind. Why? Because at that state, or in dream state, there is no filter. This ahankara is not very strong, by which it is filtering what it should tell, what it should not tell, what it should see, what it should not see. We should not get overly bothered by dreams. The only thing is, it's a litmus test to tell us what is the quality of our mind. There was a great saint, his name was Appaya Dikshit. Appaya Dikshit. He wanted to see what is his purity of mind. So he told his disciples, I will take some bhang, some kind of intoxicant, and I will be semi-conscious. And in that, whatever I say, you write down. Okay, that was his test. That means what? He had students very trustworthy. To do that experiment is not easy. So the students, they wrote down whatever he said in that semi-conscious state, half asleep, half awake. And whatever they wrote down, that is called as Marga Bandhu Stotram. Shambho Mahadeva Deva. That is a composition of Appaya Dikshit in his dream. And imagine the purity of that saint, where even in dream he has these thoughts. Our dream is nothing but impressions of waking world. Anything we see in dream has come only from waking world, either in this life or some previous life. Prashnopanishad talks about it. This is how we can make several connections But the point is how alert we are in our waking transactions, putting forth all efforts to keep this mind pure. That is what is the first sadhana. Okay, so what did we just see now? Mind goes away in waking is okay. But question we should ask is, where is it going? Okay. Second question we should ask is, with what intention it is going? What is its purpose? If purpose is not clear, then this mind will just keep getting distracted from one place to another place, second place to third place. And whenever an obstacle comes, it will drop its goal. Why is that? Because purpose is not clear of this mind. Now, Guruji always says this. He says, when students go to universities, right, and they bring the child to Puja Guruji, and they say, Guruji, give some advice to this child. What should he do when he goes to university? Guruji says, whenever you go there, always remember the purpose for which you have gone. If that is clear, then all your priorities will be clear.
Yes.
There are so many clubs, so many societies which are there, fraternities are there. But you have gone there to study. Right? That is your main purpose. Keeping that in mind, you do everything else. So any project we take, anything we start, we should ask ourselves, what is the prayojanam? What is the purpose? So it is said, in that purpose, there should be nobility and purity. Nobility and purity. This is common to all purposes. The purpose can change. Somebody can say, I'm doing this for A, B, and C. That clarity is transactional purpose clarity. But the underlying theme of all purposes should be noble and pure. Externally, we will not come to know whether our purpose is pure or not. Only we will come to know. A priest is called pujari. By the way, Sanskrit, if you say pujari, how will you split the word? Don't say puja ari. Ari means enemy. Then it will be enemy of puja. So actually, I was looking for it. Pujari is not a Sanskrit word. Sanskrit word is purohita. Vedavit, purohita, upadhyaya. All of them are synonyms of pujari. But even if you want to split, it will be puja hari or puja kari. The one who does puja, he is pujari. Okay. With a hit bhava, he is doing all the pujas. So purohita, you can say. So pujari, the point was, the pujari is somebody who is in front of Bhagwan, right? Doing all the rituals and the puja. Now, what is the purpose of him doing the puja? Only he will know. One bhava could be, I am doing this for my Lord. And you know what other bhavas could be, right? This is true for all auspicious things, all good things also. Guruji always used to tell us, ask yourself why you are giving pravachan. Ask yourself why you are giving pravachan, and always make sure that your intention is pure and noble. Because if we miss that, no matter what other result we get, it has no value. Minus this, nobility and purity, whatever other goals we set, he would say it is an erroneous goal. Don't set it. And if you set those goals, Bhagwan will make sure that you fail. This point also he told us, if we set erroneous goals, Bhagwan will see to it that we don't succeed there. So one thing we should make sure is, goals are very noble and they are pure. Goswamiji writes Ramcharitmanas, right? Somebody must have asked him, why are you composing it? What does he say? Nije gira pavana karana karana rama jasa tulasi kahyo. He says there is joy which is manifest in my heart To bring forth that joy, I am composing Ramcharitmanas. Whether others appreciate or not, that is up to them. Then he says, Bhasha Baddha Karabi mein soi, more mana prabodha jimi hoi. That when my teacher taught me, I was little fidgety. I did not appreciate the depth of this knowledge. So when I'm composing this work right now, this knowledge is becoming clearer to me. More mana prabodha jimi hoi. So that is my second goal, because of which I'm composing. And third one, he says, Swanta Sukhaya Tulasi Raghunatha Gatha. For my own contentment, for reveling in Bhagwan's nature, I'm composing Ramcharitmanas. So somebody who has this kind of intention says Bhagwan's grace performs through their work. Bhagwan's grace functions through their work. You see a touch of divinity in that work. It is called as Paratattva Sparsha. Paratattva means the Supreme Lord. There is a touch of divinity in their work. Even singers, you will see, some of them say our singing is Swara Sadhana. They don't say we are singing a song. Those who have taken it as their own sadhana, those who have committed their life to that singing. And you will find a very distinct difference in their singing. One example comes to my mind is M.S. Subbalakshmi Amma. When you hear her voice, it is not only the swara. It is lot of years of tapasya and devotion to Bhagavan. And there are so many stories which are there in her life. The point is just to appreciate this point, that work should be done with nobility and purity of intent. No matter which work it is, this thing should be common. Externally, that work might appear very holy, very pure. But what Bhagavan says is, external work should be pure, but inside, bhava also should be pure. And that bhava only we will know. Nobody else will know it. We will know and Bhagavan will know. Why? Because Bhagavan is Antaryami. Before anybody knows anything, he has seen what is the intention of our thought. There is no place, there is no time, there is no person whose intentions Bhagavan doesn't know. Antaryami means he is seated right inside and he is looking at this entire creation. There was one guru to whom two students came. And whenever students come to gurus, they are very eager to meditate. You say, Guru, teach us meditation. The guru said, I can teach, but are you ready for it? So they said, yes, we are ready. Two students. He said, I will have to find out. You cannot tell that. I will have to find out whether you are ready. So this guru gave them a coconut. One coconut he gave. And he said, break this coconut in a place where nobody will see you. Where nobody is seeing you, go to that place and break it. He comes out, students are waiting. He said, coconut? Guru gave you coconut? Why did he give you coconut? He said, no, don't ask too many questions. Quietly goes. One boy goes this way, another student goes that way. Now this person finds several places. The first student finally finds one deep, dark cave. There he breaks it and comes down happily, saying that my teacher will teach me meditation. Knowing that I have found this cave and I will go back to this cave to meditate. That is his thought. Now the second boy, he goes all over and he just comes back. Guru says, what happened? You couldn't find one place to break this coconut? He says, wherever I went, I saw Bhagavan watching me. Wherever I went, I found Bhagavan keeping his eyes on me because he is drashta inside. He is antaryami. Every thought has Bhagavan's stamp on it. He said, where can I break this? Teacher said, you are ready. Once you see Bhagwan as the seer of every thought, means once you become sensitive to it, that all my thoughts are seen by Bhagwan. So if impure thoughts are there, I should just be honest with him. It is said, Durguna and Roga both increase by hiding. Durguna and Roga. Roga means some disease. If we don't tell it to the doctor, he said it is not going to go away. It will increase more and more. So any shortcomings we have, that is also like that. It has to be sincerely acknowledged, but most importantly, overcome through devotion. And in that we have Bhagwan's help. We are not alone. Okay, so this is being sensitive and alert to where our mind is going. Puja Gurudev would say, become a postmaster of your thoughts. You know how mails come inside a post, right? In the post office, every mail that comes inside has a stamp. Every mail that goes outside has a stamp. So I would say like that we should stamp our thoughts and know which one we should keep, which one we should let go of. So this is that first quarter. Yad jagrato dura mudaiti daivam. First question we should ask is where this mind is going. And second is with what intention it is going. So there it should have purity and nobility. But see, another thing we should also ask is how this mind is going. Where it is going, with what intention it is going, and how it is going. Does it just go without even asking us, or does it sometimes at least seek some permission? You know, there is this, there was a missile recently, very, very good missile, you know, very technologically advanced missile, but accidentally got fired. Did you hear that story or not? It got accidentally fired into the neighbor's country. Imagine what will be the condition of such a missile. He said our mind is like that. Very, very powerful, very much capable of doing so many things, but it doesn't even ask us where it wants to go. So pure mind is that which seeks permission. Wherever the master wants to go, there it goes. We see many people taking dog for walking. Now sometimes they're lean and thin, you know, and the dog is so big, huge and powerful. You wonder who is taking whom. You know, it looks as though the dog is pulling this person and he is going here and there, you know, like dragging it back. So this mind is ours. We say it is my mind. So it should become obedient. It should become somebody who listens to me, an obedient mind. So that is this sadhana. Now you will say, okay, all this thing is fine, but how do we do it? How do you make sure that this mind goes to auspicious places? This mind listens to me. It goes with purity of intent. What is the main sadhana over here? So this is a technical concept. You should pay attention to this one. All of you are studying Vedanta, so you'll be familiar with it. Have you heard the word Vritti Vyapti? Vritti Vyapti. If not, I'll explain. Vritti Vyapti means whatever object I see, mind takes form of that object. Vyapti means to pervade. Vritti means thought. Means object is recognized, object is known only when mind takes form of that object. This is Vedanta's cognitive science. How cognition takes place, Vedanta says, mind has to take form of that object. So if you give it a watch, that mind will become watch akara vritti. Tadakara vritti it is called. Whatever object you give, it will take form of that object. it has so much of ability, it can pervade smallest of the smallest object. Have you ever threaded a needle? Very fine hole. Nowadays, I heard there are instruments to thread needles. You don't do it directly anymore. But in good old days, they used to have competitions of threading the needle on Amavasya day. So you go and sit outside and thread that needle, and this socialization also happens. The point is, mind can become subtler, very, very subtle. And it can pervade far off things also. It can think about the cosmos. It can think about so many far off things. So it can become big also. Patanjali Maharshi has written some sutras in Yoga Sutras where he says, Surya Sanyamat Bhuvana Jnanam. Means if somebody is able to put their mind on Surya Bhagwan, on the cosmic sun, they will get knowledge of cosmology. Nabhav Sanyamat Kaya Vyuha Jnanam. If you are able to put your mind, Sanyama means Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. If you are able to focus it just on Nadi, meditate upon Nadi, and get Samadhi in Nadi, then knowledge of physiology will take place. That is how Rishis composed so many texts without instruments. Right? We have so much of literature, right, in Sanatan Dharma. There is literature on horticulture, cosmology, so many great things, Ayurveda for that matter. Now, where did they get all that knowledge from? They said they were able to focus their mind on few places. So every specific focusing of mind has a specific result. But the main point we should appreciate is what holds us back from thinking about bigger things. It is said our own likes and dislikes. Our own raga dvesha, that doesn't allow our mind to think about bigger things. So who are these rishis? They were the ones who were able to overcome their raga dvesha. Likes and dislikes were mellower in their life, so that set their mind free. They could think about great things, they could think about subtle things. But if this mind is caught up with something small, that is what shape it has taken. Vritti Vyapti means that whatever object you give, that shape this mind will take. If you give an object of like and dislike, some small person, means some quality of some person, this mind will get stuck there. Either it is attachment or it is dislike. Or some object, you give it, if I have raga dvesha towards it, it will get stuck there. And we saw we have only one mind. Either we put it in something subtler and deeper, or we put it in our like and dislike. So the choice is ours. That is what is this sadhana. So if I say, I want a mind with pure intentions, I want a mind which goes to auspicious places, I want a mind which is obedient, in Vedanta the main sadhana for that is overcoming our strong preferences. Raga dvesha also seems like a technical word. We say likes and dislikes, and in Vedanta we say one should not have likes and dislikes. But if you say preferences, it comes closer. Because all of us have preferences about people we have, about food we have, about music we have. But it should not become so overpowering that our mind gets stuck in that place. So that is the main sadhana over here. Okay, so that is the first quarter. Yad jagrato duram udaiti. What is daivam? Daivam means it expresses sentiency. It expresses consciousness. It is not like any inert object. That is why it is daivam. Tadu suptasya tathaivaiti. Now this is saying that wherever this mind goes, in deep sleep, it comes back. And where does it merge? Where does the pot merge when it is broken? Into the clay. Where does the wave merge when it crashes? In the water. That is its material cause. In the material cause, the effect will merge. Where does the sand castle merge when it is broken? In sand. So it is that the material cause of this mind is consciousness. All of you have studied Tattva Bodha, right? Where did mind emerge from? Sattva aspect of 5 elements. What are the 5 elements? Same order. What are the 5 elements in the order in which they have emerged? Space, air, fire, water, earth. Remember Safeway. SAFWE. Okay. It should be in the same order. That is how. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Out of Sattvic aspect of 5 elements, mind has emerged. Antahkarana we say. And where did 5 elements emerge from? We say consciousness with Maya Upadhi. You know, it is a great ability to go to the absolute cause. Somebody who is not paying attention, they will only go to immediate cause. Who is a good doctor? Who cannot diagnose only the immediate cause, but he can go to the root cause. Right? So in Vedanta, one of the main sadhana is being able to boil down the effect to its absolute cause. So what is immediate cause of the mind? You say 3 gunas, the food that we eat. That is the immediate cause. At that level also we have sadhanas. Purify mind, keep mind in sattva guna. But absolute cause of this mind is pure consciousness. That consciousness alone is appearing as this mind. So that is why in deep sleep, this mind goes back to its real cause. That is why we see or we experience a lot of bliss in that state. So what is the main point here? Mind is nothing but consciousness. Just like that wave is nothing but water, the pot is nothing but clay, the sand castle is nothing but sand, means the effect is nothing but cause in a different form. This mind is nothing but pure consciousness. When I am seeing the wave, what happens to the water? It is right there. Just my attention is not there. When I am seeing the pot, where has the clay gone? It is right there. So when I am seeing the mind, where has consciousness gone? It is right there. I just have to recognize it. This point in Mandukya is called as Amani Bhava. Mind becomes no mind. Amani Bhava. When mind becomes no mind means mind is not destroyed. Huh? So for us to recognize clay in the pot, we don't have to break the pot. Right? Right then when the pot is there, if knowledge is clear, I can shift my attention to the substract. But for that, I have to purify this mind, calm down this mind, so I can think in this way. Otherwise, where do we think about what is cause of mind? You know, always we are thinking about some object. Mind doesn't even come into the picture. Okay. So this point is, in Sushupti what happens? In deep sleep, this mind comes back to its original nature. That is why we feel so much of bliss. This also tells us that this mind is not our inherent nature. Whatever is your inherent nature, it cannot be given up. Right? Fire cannot give up its heat. Water cannot give up its coolness. Sun cannot give up shining. What does that mean? That is its inherent nature. But if I am able to give up mind, that means mind is not my inherent nature. There was a Mahatma Ji, one person came to him and said, I get agitated all the time. I get angry all the time. He said, if you get angry, show me anger right now. Show me anger right now. He said, no, Swamiji, I cannot show it right now. It comes sometimes, but now I cannot show it in front of you. He said, if it comes and goes, that is not you. Avata Javata Maya. Whatever comes and goes is Maya. It is not who we are. So whatever is in this mind, not to get overly bothered by it. Okay, that is one way to look at it. Now some practical tips about Sushupti Avastha. Sushupti Avastha means deep sleep. Okay. There are some sadhakas who really like deep sleep. Okay, they keep thinking about it, keep reflecting about it. Very good. One Mahatma Ji would say, Jagrat Avastha to halki phulki hai. It is very light. Asli cheez to Sushupti hai. If you really want to get a glimpse into what is the nature of Chaitanya, analyze deep sleep. Bhagwan says, throughout our day, we have so much of stress and strain and so many different experiences. Good experiences are also there. But in between different stress and strain, we have little bit of joys. And it is all the result of our own karmas. Right? Punya karma and papa karma, they come to us as different experiences. Bhagwan says, there is one portion in your day where I will make sure that no karma comes to us. That is called as Sushupti. Sushupti is one avastha where we don't have experience of karma phala. But to get good sleep, it is said that is result of punya karma. If we have done punya karma, that is a result of, the result of that will be deep sleep. Otherwise, most of the time we'll be in Jagrat, at the most in Swapna. This mind will be constantly agitated. It will keep going from one place to another. Okay. We know, right? If mind is racing, we cannot sleep. We'll be just rolling around from one side to another. Mind cannot go into Swapna also. Forget about deep sleep. So one of the prayer to Bhagwan is, may we live our life in such a way that we don't have at least trouble sleeping. That is one indicator. Person who is light-hearted, doesn't hold on to things too much, that person can sleep well. And Guruji shared one incident with us when Guruji was teaching this portion about sleep. Many a times we have this difficulty sleeping. That's why it's helpful to listen to their experiences. They have traveled the world so much, seen so many people, met so many people. So their experience we should benefit from. In our Chinmay mission, we have so many residential schools, in all different places. So in one residential school, Guruji went, and there was a small girl who was having trouble sleeping. And residential school parents are not there, so teachers have to take care. So teacher brought this small girl to Guruji, and she said, Guruji, she is having trouble sleeping. Can you guide her? Guruji said, just wash your feet before you sleep and sit in one place and take Bhagwan's name. In Vishnu Sahasranama it is said, Bhagwan is Punyo Duswapna Nashana. Means if you take Bhagwan's name, bad dreams go away. Duswapna Nashana. So on the strength of that verse, Guruji said, I told this girl to take Bhagwan's name just before going to bed. And Guruji went to the next place his tour was going on. 1 year later, Guruji came to that same place and he asked the teacher, how is that girl? The teacher said, Guruji, not only the girl is good, but I have started doing japa. Because that sadhana was so effective that just taking Bhagwan's name, that helped have a good night's sleep. It looks like a very simple sadhana, very simple topic, but so many of us struggle for sleep. So the prayer to Bhagwan is, may you make our mind such that we can have good night sleep. Means in Sushupti Avastha, may we have Gati. So that is this Sushupti. Without doing any kind of special sadhana, just by going into Sushupti, entire mind, body, everything is rejuvenated. Right? How we have a car wash, car is dirty and having so many other things. You go inside, you don't do anything. You nicely sit inside. Everything is done on top of it. And you come out, very nice shining car is there. Like that Sushupti Avastha is. Go inside into Sushupti, everything gets rest and we come out of it. So that is the prayer. May Bhagwan make this mind pure. Tadu suptasya tathaivati. Duram gamam jyotisham jyotirekam. In that which goes far, but it is light of all lights. What did we see the meaning? One light refers to sense organs, and the second light refers to mind. Okay. Now you see the beauty of the sense organs. Every sense organ doesn't even know what it is going through. Our tongue doesn't know what it is tasting. Okay. But this fraction of a second that the food stays on our tongue can make us do so many things. Food is outside, we cannot taste it. Food is inside, we cannot taste it. When it is on the tongue, even then the tongue doesn't know. We are seeing through our eyes. You think eyes know what color it is seeing? It is only a medium. It doesn't decide anything. It is like an instrument. Like you use the stethoscope, right? A stethoscope. How do you say that? Stethoscope. Now that stethoscope doesn't know the condition of the heart. It is only an instrument. So all sense organs are only instruments. And they can only see a particular thing. Okay? Eyes can only reveal form and color. No matter how hard you try to listen through your eyes, we cannot listen. Through ears, if we try to see something, we cannot see. So what does it say? That every sense organ is having only one particular role that it can play. Now come to mind. What is this mind? It can hear, it can smell, it can taste, it can see. All abilities are there with this mind. If sense organs have to do something, mind has to be there before it or behind it. You see another power of this mind. Even if sense organs are not there, this mind can still create that object. You want to try, you can try it now. Try to create fragrance of rose and try to think about fragrance of rose. Take a stronger smell. Try to think about ginger. Can you create or not in your mind? Can you taste gulab jamun right now? If you pay attention, you realize even with thought I can create an object. Try to create the sound of guitar, violin. If you quieten down and just create that thought, that object is created in the mind. What does that mean? It is Jyotisham Jyoti. Sense organs can reveal only one things, that to object outside, but this mind can do everything together. Sense organs by themselves are inert. They don't know anything. They don't have any preferences. But this mind throws different colors on these perceptions. So the prayer is, may the mind throw auspicious colors. May the mind give us the right directions and give the right meaning to all our sense perceptions. There is a famous story in Buddhism, Bauddha Darshana. where it is said the same thing can be understood by different people in different ways. Okay, and what is the main thing which decides that difference? The colors that the mind throws. You see what is the story here? He says there was one guru on the banks of Gangaji, and it was evening time and the sun just set. He made a statement, Gatostam Arkaha. Gataha Astam Arkaha means the sun has set. Only that much he said. He must have said, Ha, the sun has set. This much he said. And he had 4 students. One student felt, now the teacher is telling, the sun has set, it is the time to do Sandhya Vandanam. Gatostam Arkaha means it is the time to do Sandhya Vandanam. Now there was another student, he said, the teacher is saying, whole day we were doing our Vedic studies. Now it is time to do some kind of yoga. Gatostam Arkaha, sun has said, good time to do yoga. Third was a little slacker. He said, now the sun has set, we can relax. No need to do too many things. That is what my teacher is telling. And it is said there was 4th person standing there. He said, now the sun has set, it is time to get ready to steal. He was a thief. He heard the same sentence. He said, sun has set, now it is a time to steal. So in Bauddha Darshana, this example is given to show that how different colors of the mind can make us understand same thing in different ways. Now ears were open, right? Everybody heard the same sentence. In Jyotisham Jyoti is this mind, although sense input is the same, but colors that this mind throws is very, very different. So there the prayer is, Bhagwan, may this mind always paint this world in auspicious colors. May it have auspicious colors inside and that get painted outside. Every virtue is like that. You take virtue of truthfulness, honesty, love. Only the one who has it will have this ability to believe that others have it. If somebody is there who is always cutting corners, doing some kind of heraferi, here and there he mixes up things, what will his mindset be? If he is cheating somebody else, he will always be afraid of getting cheated. Don't we see this in the world? But if somebody is on the other side, somebody is living a devoted life, sincere life, he himself is having trust, that person will have the ability to trust others. So that is the prayer, Bhagwan, may this mind have auspicious colors, and with that may it paint the world for me in auspicious colors. Durangamam Jyotisham Jyotirekam Tanme Manah Shiva Sankalpam Astu. May that mind of mine lead me to auspicious places and it have Shiva Sankalpa. Okay. Now the second verse is also a beautiful one. Yena karmanyapaso manishino.
Yena karmanyapaso manishino.
Yena karmanyapaso manishino.
Yena karmanyapaso manishino.
Yajne krunvanti vidhateshu dhiraah.
Yajne krunvanti vidhateshu dhiraah.
Yajne krunvanti vidhateshu dhiraah.
Yajne krunvanti vidhateshu dhiraah.
Yadapurvam yakshamantah prajanam.
Yadapurvam yakshamantah prajanam.
Tanme manah Shiva sankalpamastu.
Tanme manah Shiva sankalpamastu.
Tanme manah Shiva sankalpamastu.
Tanme manah Shiva sankalpamastu.
Yena karmanyapaso manishino. Yajne krunvanti vidhateshu dhiraah. यदपूर्वं यक्षमन्तः प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिवसङ्कल्पमस्तु. Now in this verse, Sadhaka is saying, Bhagwan, I have heard that there are great manishis, great people. They have some qualities in them, they have some characteristics in them with which they live in this world, with which they perform every action in this world. Yena karmani apasaha manishinaha. Karmani means different karmas. Apasaha also means karma. What does apa word mean? Apaha?
Take away.
No, not apaharanam. Apa. Apa, upasarga, you can say, to take away. Apa means water. So why is water called as karma? He said through water, lot of karmas were done in Vedic times. Any sankalpa, they have to take water and take that sankalpa. So apasaha also means karmas. What has Guruji translated it as? Apasaha, those who are engaged in karma. In that way also you can take. But in Ishavasya Upanishad, apaha means karma. Yena karmani apasaha manishinaha. There are people who have manisha. They are called as manishinaha. What is manisha? Mananashilavan munihi. One who has good intellect.
The one who thinks.
You have heard of Manisha Panchakam. Manisha Panchakam, 5 verses Bhagwan Shankaracharya has composed. So there this word Manisha comes. Manisha means, what is my conviction about this thing? Conviction means Manisha. Having thought about a topic, what have I concluded about that topic? Okay, they are Manishis, one who have very clear conviction. So like that, these great people who are there, Manishis, Yajne Krunvanti Vidateshu Dhiraha. They perform different actions. So Yajna over here, the literal meaning is Homa. But what is the implied meaning? Karma Yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, Yajna word is used for Karma Yoga. What is that verse? Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So there Bhagwan Shankaracharya says Yajno vai Vishnu. Yajnarthat means for the sake of Yajna you perform karma. So he says Yajna word there means Bhagwan Vishnu. For the sake of the Lord, perform all actions. So what does that Yajna become? Karma Yoga. So those who are doing this Karma Yoga, performing this Karma Yoga, they are Dhiraha. They don't give up very easily. There are some unique characteristics about such people. One is they're very enthusiastic. Otherwise, sometimes, there are our own mind sometimes. Why only say other people? It comes up with different ways why this thing cannot be done. And enthusiasm is not there to take up anything new. You're very comfortable. Wherever I am, don't try to shake me from here. But these people are enthusiastic, but not madly enthusiastic. Not thinking about where they're going. They're visionaries. They have a very clear path. They think through it very carefully. At the same time, if you just have a vision, if you just have enthusiasm, that's not enough. They can mobilize resources. They can gather resources, mobilize resources, and take that project to the end. In that, it is not going to be a very cakewalk, for them. Different obstacles will come that they are able to walk past. And in every Mahatma, we see this quality. They are, Dhiraha. either you see Puja Gurudev or you see Swami Vivekanand ji, what we know about their story, many of it is a fame part. When everything was established, that is when we have heard about that story. Even Swami Vivekanand, if you read his autobiography, there are so many experiences he writes which were so challenging. In particular, in a foreign country, he used to wear a turban, his dress and everything, and people did not know who he is. And so many things they said to him. And the time when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa took Samadhi, he writes about his experiences there. That support was taken away. When Master took Samadhi, the support that disciples were there, that was not continued. He said we used to live in that Baranagar Mutt, dilapidated building, and he says we used to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to do japa. With that tapobala, they built up that entire thing again. So the point is, this sadhaka is saying, in some great Mahatmas, these are the qualities which are seen. Bhagwan, may my mind become of that nature. Yada purvam yakshamantah prajanam tanme manah shiva sankalpam astu. This mind which is so divine, so pure, it is apurvam. Apurvam means Bhagwan's mind. That is apurvam. Means there is no equivalent to it. Unique mind. That is Bhagwan's mind. And great Mahatmas have such kind of a mind. He says, may my mind become just like it. Yaksham means it is very, very divine. It is not some tiny little mind. It is very divine. May my mind become like that. Tanme manaha shiva sankalpamastu. This is literal meaning. Huh? We have not gone into the deeper meaning of it. That we will see tomorrow. I thought this is 1.5 hour session, and I have been speaking for a long time. Let us open it up. If you have anything to share, anything to ask, we can do it now. So these are informal sessions also. We're learning from each other. Anything you want to ask, and even online audience, if you want to type or raise your hand, that way we can unmute it. We will chant the Shanti mantra and then we can open. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om